Hey folks, it is October the 19th, and today we're going over the first half of chapter 15. So make sure you read that in the textbook to go back over what we discussed today. And the terms on the board are: how did Sparta and Athens treat others? That's after the Peace of Nicias. Why did Athens want to attack Sicily? Alcibiades and Nicias for the Sicilian expedition. So I'm going to give the kids in class a few minutes to discuss these terms since they just went over it in their book, and then we shall begin from there. All right, folks, going to give you a few minutes to discuss with your neighbors the terms up on the board, and then we're going to go over it together with our images and our notes. Handy dandy timer. All right, go ahead, begin.
They're fighting over this. Because continuing war. Right now, I'm trying to make this Jesus Christ and Muhammad.
I was like, what does that have to do with what you're supposed to be talking about?
I'm trying to censor him as much as possible there. He's nothing but a black hawk. He's a controversial choice.
Okay.
Well, as far as Athens, they're not nice, but they're
Okay.
oh my god. How
Hey.
sensitive.
I'm sorry. Hey, by the way, it doesn't look like the test you took Thursday is going to be on this report card. So it's going to be on the next one. So, yeah. Apologize for that. I meant to have it done this weekend, but like I said, we had yesterday, I had an emergency, and that ate up a lot of time that I was planning to use for other things.
Wait, what happened?
Oh, my dog ran off.
Oh,
So
right.
I spent all day yesterday and last night looking for her. So,
Yeah, yes, okay.
yeah. So I was gonna do some personal studying, some grading. I usually do that Sunday afternoon because it's usually kind of get ready for the weekday for my family after church and all that.
Is that how you gonna start, David? No.
Isn't it like two triangles?
Yeah, I know. I know how to draw, but I just. I draw behind you.
Yeah. Nobody wants to talk today. All right, folks. So let's go ahead and we'll show you the images first. So hopefully it'll make some of this make more sense. Now, later this week, I'm going to get the rest of the life of Themistocles edited for you. The copy that I have on my computer, it's like the text is really kind of messed up to where it's taking up too much space on the page. So I had to go in. I'm not changing the words or anything. I'm just kind of editing the format. So we're going to have a final reading on that later this week, and I'll print it off for you or I'll post it on Google Classroom. But this guy here, Alcibiades, we are definitely going to read about his biography later because he's like a really crazy guy. Like he might have had some mental disorders, but we're going to find that he's going to be somebody who everyone loves, but he constantly betrays. He's going to betray Athens and they're going to love him. He's going to portray Sparta, and they're going to love him. He's going to go to Persia and do essentially the same thing. Everywhere he goes, people fall in love with him, and he kind of destroys them at the same time. So we will read a little bit about Alcibiades later. So keep that, like, we're going to read about Alcibiades, and then we are probably going to read a short biography about Alexander the Great later. And then we'll choose a couple from the Romans. So, darn. Yeah, but we'll get there. We'll get there. And that'll sum up our little short biographies that we're reading on. So, let's see the images first. So, in case you're wondering where Sicily is, it's over here at the tip of the boot. It's called Italy. So there we go. Rather large island, and it has some surrounding islands around it. This is going to be an important area because this is where the city Syracuse was, which always had a super rich tyrant in charge of, your book's correct, the second largest city in Greece. Even though it's not in Greece, but the people who lived there came from Greece. They spoke Greek, they lived like Greeks, even though they lived close to Italy. But because of that, they're going to have a lot of influence on Italians as Romans take on many of the customs that are going to look like Greek customs we're going to find later. It's also going to be an important place during the time of Romans because Rome and another little place in Tunisia called Carthage is going to be at war over this place later, we're going to find when we talk about Hannibal. So here's a map with some of the city-states. These city-states are, of course, once again, they're populated by people who are Greek. They're ethnically Greek, and they're linguistically Greek, and all of that. So I think your readings talked about Segesta, so it's over here. And where's Syracuse? Syracuse is over here. For some reason, it's not showing up. I think this map has to do with like sites where you have Greek ruins still, where people can go visit. So I think these are 3 of the hot spots in case you find yourself a tourist there.
So Syracuse.
Yes, Syracuse. Scala, I don't remember if we talked about that. So. All right, so Alcibiades. Yeah, so Alcibiades was somebody who was known for being extremely brilliant and charismatic. What's charismatic mean?
Good people.
Good people. Yeah, right. Good people. Yeah, they got that. They got moxie. They had that personal magnetism, right? And Alcibiades had that, and people realized how intelligent and how much promise he had, including a philosopher. What was the name of that philosopher? Yeah, Socrates, the bald guy on the left. And so he's constantly trying to pull. Yeah, it's Socrates. He's constantly trying to pull Alcibiades from drunkenness and womanizing and all these other things that he saw as vice. He wanted to pull him towards virtue, huh? No, there was no.
He was an artist in their relation.
There was no such thing as Greek redheads. No, they were more like.
Menelaus. Oh.
Yeah, that's right. They said he was, but real Greeks. I never heard of a real Greek because Greeks usually have dark like hair. Well, this painting.
No, I'm not talking about the painting. But I mean, like, how do we know all the stuff we're learning now is actually true?
The grain of salt. You got to take a leap of faith that you don't have thousands of years of people lying to you. You know, so I mean, I don't know. I mean, how do I know that?
How do I know we're not being ruled by lizard people?
Yeah, how do I know that I'm not living in the Matrix and I'm not really like hooked up to a machine with tubes sticking in me? I'm still a bubble like that.
And this is still
You just hoping.
My mom's always said, "What if this is just a dream?"
Yeah, what if this?
What if this is just God's dream and then one day he just makes stuff and we're just like,
Yeah, the girlfriends.
No.
yeah.
I mean, that's what
It isn't a
mom's
dream.
always said.
It's really real.
Yeah.
Jose's one for the reality.
Look, I can feel pain, dude.
That's true. They say pain is like the one thing that nobody can like rationalize themselves out of, right? Because you can trick yourself out of a lot of things. That pain will wake you up.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah. Oh yeah, that's a little different. So yeah, here's a lot of these paintings are of course way after this time. They're post-Renaissance paintings from people who've probably never been to that part of the world anyways. So you notice a lot of the people here are more European looking. When Greeks had, of course, darker skin, their hair is usually black, can be
And
curly or
curly.
straight. Yeah. So
Where's the dude's face on the right?
Oh, wait, never mind. What is that thing behind?
I think that's a person.
Then yeah, that's another guy. He's like,
So here let's get Socrates trying to educate Alcibiades between the difference between right and wrong, virtue and vice, and living up to his potential. But the guy
Logan
never
is
listens. He never listens. So it's going to be a tragedy in that you're going to have somebody with all this promise and all this hope, but he's just going to dash it. And he's going to lead to the deaths of thousands of Athenians. So now when they talk about he's going around doing pranks, he's going to be accused of knocking down the Hermi. That's, yeah, statues of Hermes. Essentially, it's like a statue of his head, his bust on pillars, and people would put these up for good fortune, right? Or good favor with the gods. And so one night, people wake up in the morning and find that in the evening, the heads were knocked off and vandalized. So they blamed him because he was the guy known for causing trouble throughout town. And he, if you remember, was supposed to go lead the military to attack Sicily. And so they're going to hold him back at Athens for trial. He's going to get out of that, but we're going to see about that later. That's going to be next time. So, Sicily, right there. So this is going to be the downfall of Athens. And after this, Sparta and Athens are going to be so weakened that you're going to have Thebes. It's going to come up for a little while, and then Macedonia. So, first off, though, how did Sparta and Athens treat others? So they had this peace badly, right? So, all right, so we'll start with that. So, what did they do?
they raided places just because they wanted, like,
Yeah, they raided former allies, so they're friends, they're little friends. Or expansion, they want to expand their control and wealth. So they're exploiting them. They're like, hey, you're not strong enough to stop us. We're going to decide what we want when we want
And
because
what's
we are
the difference between
powerful.
having a friend and making them part of our massive dictatorship?
Well, this is going to repeat later. You're going to see small countries who are going to befriend big, powerful things. Like Italy's going to be an example. During the Renaissance, Germany is going to invade over and over and over because Italy is going to be broken up into these little city-states, kind of like Greece. Germany is going to be big, powerful, and strong. It's going to call itself the Holy Roman Empire. And they're going to come in and conquer it and just simply to take their money over and over again. You could make the same case for the Soviets later. They're going to do that to like Eastern Europe. So yeah, that's what happens if you're a small fish and you're next to a big hungry shark.
You gonna die.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. They're going to find a reason to get you someday. So that's why it's best for a nation to be strong and not strong enough to just go out and hurt others, but to just keep them away. So yeah, and so we saw this with the Spartan example. They're going to go in, they're going to conquer the former allies. Athens is going to do the same thing. And when Athens does it, they're actually going to
Kill everybody.
Yeah, kill all the men. So all the
Did you know what? Boy, can a hippo swallow a human whole?
Yeah, they're technically omnivores. They're not herbivores.
They're big enough. I know they
They
bite
eat
people
zebra.
to kill them.
They eat zebras.
They eat
Do
zebras.
they eat zebras?
Yes.
I want
Why
to-
It's
do
like
people
eating
think
your
they're
cousin.
herbivores?
I
They're
want-
not
What
herbivores.
do you
They
eat?
kill.
What eat zebras?
Lion, yeah, hippos. Hippos can eat
Oh,
zebras.
yeah.
Is that, I
Why do
know,
people think they're herbivores? They're not.
okay, yeah, I knew they attacked animals.
I
but
wanna
I didn't know
bet
They eat them.
they ate.
I feel like I can bite my hand off.
So they're like-
from a whole entire-
They're like fat alligators. They're just
Yeah,
kinda there.
basically.
They're worse than alligators. They're one of the most.
They're
dangerous
cuter
animals.
though. They got them big
I've heard their
noses.
things.
But
Yeah,
they're
they're
still very deadly.
The first pharaoh of Egypt was bitten in half by a
Yeah.
and Armor the Great. Jacob, you okay, Ben? Okay. Yeah, so we're gonna leave the examples off there, but yeah, I think one of the cities like Megara or something like that, and so yeah, the Athenians are going around, still trying to expand. Remember, they took all of these cities to the east and all these islands to the east, but now they want to move to the west. And guess what? Italy, Sicily, Syracuse, it's all to the west, and they've had bad blood with Syracuse before. Remember during the Persian War, Syracuse wouldn't help unless they were allowed to be in charge. And Athenians were like, no thanks, we don't need you to be our king. And of course, they've had other scuffles since then. And here's, why did Athens want to attack Sicily? I just gave you part of it.
Because they wanted the island.
So that's the real reason. But they're tricked. How are they tricked? If you remember, there was a town called Segesta. What did the people of Segesta do?
Oh, didn't they like join like the thing where it's like join this if you hate Sparta,
Mm-hmm.
and they did that.
Well, that's Argos. That was Argos. When they up here and they were treating each other poorly, Argos made like a league. Athens joined it. Sparta beat them up anyways and conquered them. But here, the people of Segesta are actually living on Sicily. They live on Sicily next to Syracuse.
Oh, they were a boat.
They're inviting Athens to come. How do they trick Athens to come? They say they have a lot of.
Well,
Yeah, so they tricked the Athenians to invade.
By saying like how to hold your money.
Yeah. I was saying, like, we're so rich, we will pay you to do this. Really, they just wanted to have them beat up their neighbors.
the who's paid them?
Segesta tricked the Athenians to invade and claimed
Yes.
they would share. Here, look, we'll put arrow, money sign. My bad. I ran out of room and I'm going to get down to Alcibiades. So they share. They're going to share money. So they're like,
No, they said they're gonna.
they said they were. Yeah, they're like, we will pay for your fleet for like half a year. We'll pay for like hundreds of ships and soldiers. We'll also and whenever they had their envoys go visit, the Athenian diplomats, they gave them feast every day, and they kept showing them like all these like rich drinking and eating vessels, and really they said it was the same. They just kind of loaned them out. It wasn't that everybody had these fine things. They just kept using the same ones. So they were pretending that they had. They were like borrowing grandma's silverware and like Uncle Bob's nice furniture and all this other stuff, and they were just putting it in one house and another while the Athenians went around traveling. So yeah, they totally put up a charade for it. Like this kind of things could be attempted again by you could think about other historical examples like Catherine the Great. She's going to be a very powerful czar of Russia. That's like like a queen. And whenever she could have guests visit, she actually had up and down one of the rivers a fake city built. And really, it was kind of like an Old West movie prop where it was just the front wall. And so she would build these nice front walls, and she had actors pretending to be happy people living in the city. When really, Russia wasn't that great of a place. And so whenever she'd have kings visit, she'd take them on the riverboat and be like, hey, look how happy my people are. And really, it's like a movie prop. It's just like a one-sided wall painted nice. people pretending to be happy villagers and all that. So people do that all the time. Like even today, nations pretend that they're one way to another. So, Alcibiades.
Alcibiades.
So he was that young guy, right? Had a lot of promise. And what about that?
Always did stupid stuff.
I was a super son. Okay.
And got tired of it.
Hey, you just got pranked from
What was his character like? What was he? How was he described?
sociopathic,
Dishonorable.
maybe.
What else?
Dishonorable, untrustworthy, genius, though.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we'll start with the positive. So
Okay, fine.
very smart and likable. And how is it likable?
Just like able.
And having to eat for the A seems weird. Okay, so very smart, likable, but dishonorable. That's right, and it's going to catch up to him.
Dishonorable.
Dishonorable. Who is his teacher?
Socrates.
Yeah, taught by Socrates.
I bet Socrates was embarrassed.
And what did he want to lead an attack on?
A lot of things, I think. No.
It's Nile. Sicily, yeah. So he wanted to lead an attack on Sicily. He will. He will later. Later on, he's going to help the Spartans attack Athens. So,
Of course he is.
but accused of sacrilege. So,
What's that?
It's like being anti-religious, like, you know.
yeah. So
How was
it's
he
like
accused of that? What made it be like that?
because he was breaking up some of their idols, some of their
Like their
statues of
statues
their
of the
gods.
he was breaking
Yeah.
them.
Did they know for a fact it was him?
Nah. And they're like, who else could have done
Who
it?
else could have done?
Yeah, they're like, well, it had to be him. Could have been my son. So, you know, things happen. All
Who is this guy? Nikias.
right, so Nicias.
Nikias.
Remember, he's the old general. He's wise. He's constantly
he's
trying.
dead. He's
I
dead.
thought it would have been Nicias. Not
Yeah, it's because in Greek, this they didn't actually have a C. They used a
He
K.
did.
But the British, or where we got the spelling for this, is just think of it as a K. Sometimes you see the C's replaced by K's. Hey, so well, yeah, he's gonna die, of course, but in our purposes, he's advising the Athenian democracy for what?
Do not attack.
Yes, told Athens to not, and poor guy's gonna have a very sad end. We'll get to
Because
that.
then doesn't he
Is he a
die
big deal?
fighting? Like, he literally dies in the thing. He's like, I don't want to do this now. And it's like,
And they said-
too bad.
They're like, we'll find your charge.
He didn't want to do it, but they forced him to.
Yeah. They're like, well, you have a lot of wisdom. Why don't you go do that thing you don't want to do? Well, so. told
Why do you
Athens
think
not
I don't want to
Texas.
do it?
Well,
Yeah.
it didn't turn out well. This is gonna totally ruin Athens. So, and they're finally not gonna be able to go around and be belligerents anymore.
Your end looks like an 8.
Nah, that's okay. Hey,
It's ignored.
why did he say don't attack Sicily? What was the?
Because they would have to take a lot of supplies.
Yeah. So it would, we'll just say use all of their resources. They'd be defenseless. And it would ruin the peace he caused.
And also, it would just, it's, because if they get called back, like if someone declares war, then everyone would be in Sicily and no one would be there. So he's like, this is stupid. And they're like, no, it's not.
Yeah, they were like, well, we're gonna get rich.
No, we'll die.
See, that's a pretty Athens move. I like money.
Like, do it.
Money.
So there we have it. So we're seeing it's all leading up to one more final bout to this war, and it'll finally be over. And then you're going to have Sparta is going to win the war, but it's good. But the war's going to be so costly to them, it's going to break them as well. So that means the two strongest city-states that kind of held power over Greece is going to fall apart.
And then Greece is gonna just be like,
So what do we do
Well,
now?
somebody else is going to take over. Somebody else is going to take over.
Alexander the Great.
You could say that in the modern world. If like America for some reason became super poor and weak, somebody else would be the strongest power in the world. For good or ill.
Who would it be? China? Maybe China.
That's what some people think. Yeah, some say they're definitely, well, in some ways their economy is bigger in some ways. In some ways it's not.
And
You
definitely
know, China's a
production.
whole lot smarter than probably everyone in the US.
What?
Well, you gotta think about it this way.
Smarter than everyone in the
Actually,
US.
that's Korea.
A lot of them are, but you gotta remember, a lot of
They're way
people,
more strict, too.
a lot of people in China though, still live as peasants, like on the little farms, and they're illiterate. So the people in the cities, yeah, they got a lot of very strong forced education. But the people like out in the countryside, a lot of them, they're like living like, yeah, they are. They're like living like slaves. They can't read. They can't move. They
And
can't.
there's like places like
Do
Japan, which
anything.
are just like the best parts of like Asian culture, just all like
Oh my
focused
God.
one tiny little island.
Okay.
Like, have you seen like they're like they got on their trains? You know, they got trains, obviously. And these little like little things beneath their trains to let animals go under the trains and have derail them.
That's nice. Yeah, I know they have like the super fast ones and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
they got like the fast trains. They got all like the new technology. Well, a lot of it, not.
They also have some bad things too though. Like they don't have a lot of people there don't have retirement systems. So like a
They're
lot of their
working into like a.
kind of, yeah. So it's kind of rough in some ways. Hey, folks, that's going to end our lecture today. We're going to go over the last half of this chapter, chapter 15, tomorrow. And later in the week, I'm going to have a little reading assignment for us. Talk to you later, kids.
Already what?
Assignment. Remember that biography I was going to edit for y'all?
Oh, I'm not excited to like know my